Number 14 says, explain why all the graphs in this lesson show the first quadrant but omit the other three quadrants. So this graph is only showing quadrant 1, and if you want to know why, you look at what these labels are. So it says inches on the X, and it says time on the Y, and you can think about if it was extended so we could see the other quadrants, well, what types of numbers would be back here behind 0, and what type of numbers would be down here under 0. And whenever you think about that, well, you'd see that in these other quadrants they would have negative numbers. And whenever we measure something, I would not get my ruler out and measure the length of this graph and say, well, that's -2 inches. Or if somebody was asking me, well, how long is this going to take? -3 minutes. So it's not showing the other quadrants because a length or a distance and some amount of time are only going to be positive numbers. So time and distance are always positive. Number 15 says complete the table. So they're giving me the length of the side of a square, these different lengths. They want me to fill in the perimeter of those squares, and they want me to fill in the area of those squares. So anytime that you're working a problem that has to do with some type of geometry, like a shape, and they didn't draw it for you, it makes sense to be for me to see it. So I'm going to go draw a square out to the side. They're telling me the side length of this square is 1. So if I go and I put a 1 on all the sides, since I can see it, it makes it easier for me to understand and get the perimeter of the square. So hopefully you remember to get the perimeter, you just add up all of the sides, and in this case I can just take one side and multiply it by 4 because it has 4 equal sides. So the perimeter of a square that has a side length of 1 is just a 4. And then for a perimeter, for a square that has a side length of 2, so if I go and add up all these sides, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so you can see that it's just taking the length of it and it's multiplying it by 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So I'm just going to do times 4 instead of drawing all these squares. So 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. I will let you fill in this one by yourself, and I'll check it after you turn it in. Okay, now I'm going to get the area of a square. So to get the area of a square, you take the side length and you square it because it's doing the length times the width. But on a square, you know that's just going to be a number times itself since the sides are the same. So if I do 1 squared, or 1 times 1, that first square has an area of 1. On my next square, I'm doing length times width, so 2 times itself would give me a 4. Okay, so on a square that has side lengths of 3, if I take that side length of a 3 and I just square it, so 3 squared is doing 3 times 3, would give me the area of 9. So I'm going to do 4 as the side length. I'm going to insert a 4 into this formula. The area would be 4 squared, which is 4 times 4. So So I will let you work this last one with a side length of 5. You have to figure out what is the area. So find what we were doing to all those to get from the top number to the bottom number. Apply it here. Okay, on A it says, are the length of the side of the square and the perimeter of the square related proportionally, why or why not? Anytime they're asking you if a situation is proportional and you have a table to look at, you want to see if it has a constant. If I get a constant answer every time I divide, the y divided by the x or the bottom divided by the top, that's telling me it's proportional, okay? So I'm doing k equals y divided by x. Okay, so this problem, A right here, is not asking me anything about the area. They said the side length and they said perimeter. So you can ignore that very bottom row. I know some of you were already thinking that you're confused because there's 3 rows, and Miss French, we've never had 3 rows on our table, okay? So you're only looking at the top 2. So I'm taking the 4, the bottom number, and I'm dividing it by the one above it. So 4 divided by 1, 8 divided by 2, 12 divided by 3, 16 divided by 4. Okay? I'm going to let you answer. So you have to divide it, and you have to see if you get a constant answer or not. So you will have to answer this one either with a yes, it has a constant of so-and-so, or no, it does not have a constant, okay? So you finish that. On B, are the length of the side of the square, okay, length of the side, and the area of the square related proportionally? So this time, that question did not say anything about perimeter. So you can ignore the middle row of your table. So you only see 2 rows like normal. They were asking me if it's proportional. So to see if a table or a scenario is proportional, you are seeing if it has a constant, y divided by x. Okay? So the first one that I have was 1 over 1, because I'm going from the area to the side length. This would be the y, that was the x. Okay, you want to simplify that. And then I had 4 divided by 2. Then I had 9 divided by 3. Then I have 16 divided by 4. So I will let you use your calculator to work these. See if you are getting a constant answer or not. So you can either answer yes, the constant is so-and-so, or no, there is no constant. Okay, so write your answer there. Okay, the last one says, a table shows a proportional relationship where k is the constant of proportionality. The rows are then switched. How does the new constant of proportionality relate to the original one? Okay, so if I just make up a constant, let's say the y and the x number, so we got 2/3 for our constant. It said then the rows were switched. So they're just telling me that this is going to switch upside down. So now I've got 3 over 2. There's a word for their relationship. Some of you may know it, some of you may be drawing a blank. But whenever I have a fraction, here's a different example. If I had 5 over 1, and then it's switched upside down to be, 1/5. Whenever you have a fraction that is flipped upside down, and if you multiply these together, the product will always be 1. That is called reciprocal. So if you were thinking of that word before I said it, I'd be very impressed. So, okay, now you are going to turn this paper in. Make sure your name and your class and today's date is up here. Turn it into your class bin.